historically speaking, whenever an influencer or anyone that charts or whatever and posts it publicly, whenever you call a downside, that's typically when the growth of your channel kind of comes to a halt, right? Now, no one likes to call a downside unless you are specifically betting on a downside, right? Which is all good. But what I'm going to tell you here, guys, is that either we look at this as a potential opportunity or we look at this as we are going to cease to exist and it is the end of the world as we know it. Now, am I calling a downside or not, right? Because this is a huge warning that I'm putting out here. I will say just right off the bat, you're going to have to know how this play is going to go. It's a bit complex, right? Just it doesn't have to be, but I'm going to give you my bias starting from right now. I am bullish with conditions. Okay. So I know that's a little upsetting for some of you to hear. And this is right when people are like, oh man, oh, what a bunch of shill. But remember guys, I'm speaking directly to you. If you know who I am not long or short XRP for a reason, XLM included, right? So that I can provide to you an unbiased opinion and a completely transparent view over what the asset can do without me being exposed to it, right? Okay, so now that we can observe and talk clearly here, let's talk about a couple things here because there is a short thesis that's kind of thick and it's brewing and it's actually growing here, but the bulls may be setting up something that may completely invert the play, absolutely, I mean, turn it around completely and sweep it right off of the bears' feet. Okay, so before we get started, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Please do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, do everything necessary to get this thing to live long, thrive, and survive. My name is Arca, coming at you here on July 22nd at 10:43 p.m. Pacific time. And let's go ahead and start this off with XRP, right, guys? I want to show you this, okay? This is a drawing that we drew yesterday, right? With the potential drop from this head and shoulders formation that came down to this zone here, right? So we noticed a drop, but the drop did happen, but didn't actually reach that lower zone. Okay, so now in the workings of whatever has been happening here, right? Since we rejected this area, there is the workings of another head and shoulders formation presently there. So now I will say that this one doesn't have as grave of a downside. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of tell you here that this is probably your neckline here, right? So the neckline is indicating a target of this. Let's go ahead and apply it here. Okay, so the target for this would probably be around the areas of 344. Okay, now if the 344 is there, well, your hard targets would actually be around that 344.35, and let's just kind of mark it down as we go, right? 344.35 to just around 342.50, down to this low here that we experienced yesterday. All good. Okay, now what happens here is that when you kind of drop, right, when you kind of drop into these areas like this, you'll usually experience a bounce to validate where you kind of came from. So around here, right, this area here being confluent and this top side being confluent with this low here. So that would be the validation of resistance before continuation to the downside. That's typically the way price action works here. Now, what can we do to prevent that from happening? Well, I'm not sure that we can, as there is a very pugnant downside kind of looming here, right? And I'm going to show you now a different perspective entirely, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and grab all of this here, right? I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to right click and create a group, right? And this is, we're going to call it bear one, right? So bear one completely gets out of the way there, okay? And now I have to show you this head and shoulders here, right? So this one can be observed from maybe even a 4-hour time frame, which it can, right? The smaller the time frame, sometimes it can give you more grain. It's all good. But now this does have a pretty clean regression as well. Now the regression line is kind of located down about here, right? So we can say that the regression on this may actually be the better part of this. Now the target to the downside based on this formula is a bit aggressive. Now take a look, take a gander at this, right? So your target here, 322. Now the 322 target is completely confluent to a very nice area of support. Now there's a problem with this here, right? So I'm going to just go ahead and kind of put it here like that so that you know. And in fact, I'm going to make it grow just a little bit to this point here because there is a fair value gap in between this red bar's high and this green bar's low, having this green bar as a host in between. Okay, so if this is what we're presented here, well, you know, I guess we're going to have to find out if XLM is also presenting the same situation. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at that now. So that's going to be your 30-minute time frame, and XLM is not really giving off that same vibe. In fact, XLM is giving more of a bullish vibe than anything. So I'm going to show you why. All right, I think we could do it from that smaller time frame. I think it's still okay. All right, guys. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So the workings of you know what, and then also we could, you know what, just to kind of shill around here, guys. Yes, we nailed the targets to the downside pretty perfectly, right? Even within these ranges and all the way up to the top side of that 47,887. 474,887 target up here, right? So yes, from yesterday to today, great. The price targets met, yada yada, whatever. One more thing, guys. We are getting dangerously close to the beginning of our beginners trading seminar, which is going to be 9 weeks long, live with me. And it is just for $100. So make sure to take advantage of this. It's starting on July 26th here on Saturday morning for me around 9:30 a.m. PST. And the lecture is going to have a part 2 lecture, right, every week on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. We are getting close to filling all the seats, and now we're just a few days away from starting. So enroll now. Description below has that link for you. Okay, guys? So make sure to get that done. I want to see you in class. Anyway, so let's get rid of all these drawings too, right? So that we could kind of present here what it is that we're doing, right? So we're going to create a group, and we're going to call this one Bear 1 as well. There we go. Okay, now we get rid of all that stuff, and I want to go ahead and present to you here there is a possible, you know, inverse head and shoulders happening here too, right? So I'm not going to lie to you. It feels a little wonky here. And usually these wonky formations tend to show a little bit of variance, right? So if it is being seen by me, the psychology here is that it's being seen by many other people as well. So if this is indicating a further upside, then this is going to be a massive upside target, which is curious because I'm wondering if that would be the same thing for the XRP asset. And I'm going to show you why it would invalidate too. Okay, so these are the targets that are presently being shown to us. In other words, your hard target would be right up here at 49.5410, which is something that we've reached not too long ago. Okay. All right, well, now let's go ahead and kind of look at this from the perspective of XRP, and I want to show you how this can invalidate. So your target to the downside, based on this enormous formation here, does indicate this 321.97 to 328.81. Okay, a couple of dynamics that I want to show you here. Okay, all right. So you see how this red bar closed? Right, so this is a 3-hour bar that closed, and for some reason it's so big and red that it would continue to the downside heavily, but it didn't continue to the downside heavily. What it did is that it actually continued to kind of peekaboo that low and then make its way towards the 30% retrace of this bar, which is usually the case, right? We get a 30 to 50% prior bar retrace. And okay, cool. So if that really is the case, does this have room to continue to the upside? Well, maybe, but it does have 9 minutes to close, so it might not actually make it. So this situation here, that retrace thing that happens is true almost all over the place. So if you would have a brand new bar, you would have a bar like this, right? Let's just go ahead and talk about this real quick. Okay, so this is your prior bar that just printed, right? And then you're about to open up a new bar where this one closed, which is up here, right? So the green bar opens here, closes at the top. So you open up your new bar, right? And then from here, you're trying to see what's going to happen. So typically speaking, what happens is that you run to the upside, you get a little bit of a peekaboo above this area here, right? And when you retrace, that is your probability of getting your the 60 to 70% chances of getting a 30 to 50% prior bar pullback. So what happens here is that it leaves behind that wick, right? It leaves behind this wick to show you how far it went. And then at this point here, the bar goes from this green color to a red color because it went beyond its open, right? So this goes on to the red color bar, and now it would potentially reach all the way down towards the 50% of the prior bar. So these are your typical price dynamics, right? This is kind of what happens almost every single time. So the thing retraces all the way over here after getting that peekaboo above the prior bar. Okay, so when it retraces, it bounces. It typically bounces from that 50%. Now, say this. Say, for example, the bar opened up like way higher, right? So the bar opened up over here. So what happens in this point is that typically, yeah, sure, you'll get a little bit of a peekaboo towards whatever high is near there, but the typical reaction here would be to retrace and then either look for a bounce from this top side or this top side here, thus leaving you with an opportunity to then continue towards the upside here, leaving this huge wick behind, and then getting this bar to go from red, flips to green, right? And then you get this massive continuation towards the upside afterward, okay? So this is a dynamic that happens very often too, which leads me to this. Let me get rid of all the drawings and take a look at this on a weekly time frame for XRP. All right, so this is what I mean. Here is the opening of this is the closing of your prior bar, right? Bam, it closes here and it opens right next to it, just like we talked about before. Now, what it did is it actually continued to the downside here, but it said, nope, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and make it all the way to the top. And guess what? It creates the peekaboo of the prior bar and then retraces all the way down. And now we're presented with all of these bear signals, right? That could actually lead the candle towards a lower valuation. Should it go to a lower valuation, what do we do to prevent ourselves from believing that it is actually going to reach all the way down here to the 50%, which is around $3.14? Okay, historical price action is where this comes in. This is where it comes in. This here. Now, I will say $3.20 at this bar is very, very close to that 50% of this bar. Granted, I will show you this. Now, take a look at this line. See that? Let me go ahead and just get rid of this here, right? This line is confluent to the bar low of this existing new weak bar that we have, right? Okay, and it's consistent to this as well. So you can see that when it opened, it dropped down to this and it exploded all the way to 366 from 340. So if it does dip a little bit lower, I expect a huge bounce to happen from 336 to 340, right? Now, I will tell you this too, though, okay? The target that we're expecting on that shorter time frame, head and shoulders, right? This one here, that target is leading towards a 321.97 bottom. Okay, so what does that rhyme with again? Let's look at the weekly time frame and take a look at the line that we can draw straight across right here. And it does rhyme with this red bar too. This is a real moment here, guys, okay? This is a real moment. This is actually tough, okay? So this is why I'm telling you that yes, we are actually susceptible for a potential drop in price action that can result to a drop of around 321, yes, but we also could reject that downside based on history by the bounce that we experienced at this 340 to 366. Okay, so that's where I'm leading things to here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and keep on studying this, and I'm going to go ahead and keep on studying XLM because there could be some news in the overall broader market that we are just unaware of as of now. So we have to find out what could be happening, and we have to find out how this is going to affect the longer term, because the longer term is now in a bigger question than it is for the shorter term. That's where my mind is sitting for all of you guys right now. I wanted to share this video here, and I wanted to express my true, honest opinions on it, and get your thoughts in the description below. Okay, guys, so please go ahead and remember, the description below, you have the entry to enroll for the beginners mentorship for charting and trading. Okay, guys? So make sure to get that done and shoot me an email to arcabulls@gmail.com and we'll get you enrolled and ready for this Saturday coming up. All right, team. Well, thank you so much, and we will talk very, very scary Jerry soon. All right, team. Adios, everyone, and adios. Please take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. Ever, 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 ever. I need you to do your own due diligence, and everything will be cool. But with that said, team, I wish you well, a very, very good rest of your night and or day, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios, team.